Hey, just a heads up that the following content may be disturbing or triggering for some listeners and is not appropriate for children. Please take care of yourself and others who may be listening with you. Welcome to the Bonus Babies Podcast, a show that has no easy answers, only hard questions.
It's also healing when you connect and when you become vulnerable and stop trying to suppress everything. Just let it out. Deal with the pain. Yeah, it hurts. It's very painful to hear that something like that happened to that girl. And yes, I did get triggered. But you know what? Those are the moments where you heal the most. Is when you let it go and let yourself connect and deal with that pain and let yourself heal from that. And you can receive deliverance too. And that's what I received in that moment, and that's what I want to receive worldwide. I want to connect with people. I want to connect.
Can you tell me what you call the kids who you've cared for over the years?
We feel that the children that we receive coming into our home are bonuses. So we call them bonus babies.
I love that. This is your host, Jayne Amelia Larson, and I'm a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate volunteer for youth in foster care. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. In the same way a CASA works, I explore all things in the foster care maze by talking to kids, parents, caregivers, attorneys, social workers, therapists, really anybody and everybody who will speak to me to keep the conversation open and the information flowing about all things CASA.
Hi, this is Jake Eberly, the producer of the Bonus Babies podcast. And today, Jayne speaks with Leslie Nolan. Leslie has an incredible story. And through all the difficulties of her childhood, sexually abused at 12 years old by her father, who blamed it on her, and then taken care of by a much older man from the age of 15 to the age of 21, and trafficked by that very same guy, but not knowing she was trafficked until much later. From all that, now the manager of a hair salon and a cosmetologist, she's an advocate for others. And in the end, she feels like she's received deliverance. But all that's just the tip of the iceberg. Here she is.
Hi there, I am here with Leslie Nolan. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for coming on my podcast. And you're in Washington, D.C. now, or Maryland, or where?
I am in Laurel, Maryland, but I guess it's the same thing as D.C.
Yeah, and you went to school in D.C., right?
Yes, I went to school in D.C., and my mother moved us to Lanham, Maryland when I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm. What was the name of the school that you went to? You told me, and it sounds really cool.
I went to Eleanor Roosevelt High School.
Right, and isn't that famous a little bit?
Well, you know what, in Greenbelt, it's a very, I guess it's a school known for, I guess it's good education. I don't know, but it was a very good school. And I actually gotten in on accident. I got into a big fight at Duval House School, and the girl threw a chair at me, and she hurt
what?
me. Yeah,
what? She threw a chair at you?
Yeah, she threw a chair at me, and I got really hurt, really, really bad. It was blood involved, so they gave me options to go to any school I wanted in the PG County, and my mother picked the best school.
Wow. So, yeah, you said you were bullied as a little girl, right? What happened?
Well, yeah, I was bullied because I was big. I was chubby. So, that was in the 90s. And, of course, that was in the days where, I think the 90s was about being skinny and stuff. And, this was before, like, the hip-hop videos with the women with the big boobs and big butts. So that was before that era. So, yeah, I had a very hard time in school. And even in high school, it just wasn't a thing to date a lot of big girls and stuff. Maybe now I could have gotten away with it.
You're in fashion now. Yeah, you're in fashion now.
Oh, my gosh. Lord, I have guys lining outside the door.
Well, I can see because you're really, really lovely. My listeners can't see you, but they'll see some pictures of you on social media, I hope.
Yeah.
You're an absolutely stunning girl. So, yeah, you really are. I saw that. The minute I met you, I saw that. And not just outside, I mean inside. You have something special going on inside.
Oh, thank you, Jayne. You too. I saw that too. I like your aura. Something about you I see the same thing with you too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so So tell me about your childhood. What was it like? You had a single mom, right? And your parents were separated?
Well, yeah, my parents were separated who had me. I was raised with my stepfather and my father. So it was like those two dynamics. And then my stepfather was Nigerian and my father was a black man, a light-skinned black man. So it was two different dynamics. And not only that, my father was a colorist. So it was my father
He was
raised,
a what? He was a what?
He basically he thought he was better because he was light skinned.
Oh, so he was like a racist, but you're calling it a colorist. So the lighter you are, the better you are.
He's not racist. My father was prejudiced.
He was prejudiced
Against dark skinned people.
Oh, and your stepdad was Nigerian, so he was dark skinned.
Well, he was dark skinned, but not only that, my stepfather really, like, in their culture, education is very important, and I didn't meet that standard. You know, I didn't meet that standard because in school I didn't make the best grades, but I was really good at spelling. I was really good at English, and all my teachers loved me. I was a teacher's pet.
Right. Oh, you were, yeah. So, did you skip school, or did you stay in school, or what? What'd you do?
I started to skip school towards like my junior year in high school. That's when it got really bad.
You told me that you used to kind of listen to music in your head in order to tune out everything. What were you doing?
Well, when I was a kid, music would just pop up in my head. It had nothing to do with me doing it. It just popped up in my head. It will always be very loud. So I will always hear music in my head as a child. I don't really know why. I'm pretty sure now they have a diagnosis for it. They have medication and therapy for it. But back in those days, I was kind of, people like me, we kind of got left under the radar because we wasn't slow enough to be in special ed, but we wasn't smart enough to compete against the other classmates. So they just kept us in there and they would just move us through the system and pass us. It really wasn't no challenges and stuff. So I got passed through the system, no child left behind type of mentality in DC public schools.
It sounds like people weren't looking after you.
Well, that's how the system was in those days. And that was the education system. So it just wasn't personally to me. That's just how the system is.
Right. And what happened when you were 12?
When I was 12, I started to get abused by my dad, sexual abuse by my father. And
by your stepdad or your bio dad?
My biological dad, not my stepfather. My stepfather never touched me.
And what happened? How did you deal with that?
Well, I think how I dealt with it is, I think any child would deal with it. I didn't deal with it. He told me it was my fault, so that's what it was. And
what, that you were provoking him, or
yeah, he said he said I seduced him.
Wow.
Yeah, he said I seduced him. Yeah.
Wow.
I believed him though.
You believed him. You believed that it was your fault.
Yeah, nowadays, oh my God, can't nobody tell me that too much of anything is my fault. Yeah, but back in those days, I did definitely believe it, and he told me, so I believed it. That was my father. I believed it, and I felt bad for a long time. I felt like I was cursed. I felt like something was wrong with me. I felt like I was a curse.
Yeah.
I always felt like I was a curse to my father, because I even noticed how his life started to decline after he molested me. Like, he started to get more homeless and more homeless and more homeless. And, it went to the point where he couldn't even pay his rent anymore. So I was like, man, it must be my fault because I seduced him when I was 12.
You took it all on you.
Yeah,
wow,
I was like, this must be my fault. Yeah, I always thought it was my fault. Mm-hmm.
Did you tell, and you didn't tell your mom, or did you try to?
I think one particular time when I returned back home during the summertime, I started to cry. And just out of the blue, I started to cry. And she was like, "Why are you crying, Leslie? Come here. Give me a hug. Why are you crying?" And I wanted to tell her. And then you know what I said? I copped out. I said, "I really miss my grandfather, Wally." So that was the opportunity for me to say something. But oh my God, if I told my mom, honestly, I did not trust her. We did not have a good relationship. My father will always tell me that she don't love me. So I always believed that she didn't love me. So I thought that if I told her, she would blame me for it. And that she would see that it's my fault. Right? So she'll see that it's my fault. And she'll blame me for it. So I never wanted to tell her.
Does she know now?
Well, I told her when I was 20. And she met up with me and bought me some groceries. And we talked about it. And I tried to take her to a detective. But he told me that, I shouldn't go along with it. He said, do you really think people will believe you? Or do you think that you would be believed? I just think he was lazy. He just really didn't want to work. Because years later, and my pastor helped me go through it. My pastor encouraged me to go back and try it again. And I had the best detective in D.C. He helped me out so much. I had the best team ever. It was amazing. And they were so supportive. And I received so much like revelation during all, because even during the time when I had to re-listen to the tape, so it was a process where you have to re-listen to the tape. And then you have to sign some papers after you listen to the tape. They just want I guess they want your consent. Even
right, they want you to agree to what you've said. Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So during the time that I was listening to the tape, I noticed that all of a sudden this heaviness of tiredness came all over me. I never felt this a day in my life. I never felt this ever in my life. But it just came all over me, and I just got tired all of a sudden. And this big heaviness came over me, and I realized that was why I was so depressed. Like that's where my depression was coming from, that situation. And because I felt so down during that situation, and it was just something that like supernaturally came over me. It was nothing I can control, and I was like, "Wow, this situation is serious. This situation steals people's youth." They steal people's mental health. This stuff is very serious. And I didn't notice that until I actually went along with the process.
You ended up leaving home at a very young age. So how did that go down? Obviously you're really hurting, right? You feel lonely, you're blaming yourself for something that is not your fault.
Yeah.
And you're down on yourself. And so what happened then?
Okay, so I met this older man when I was 15. And he took very good care of me. He dropped me off at school. He made sure I had everything I needed. Kind of like a sugar daddy. Well, he convinced me that when I turned 18, I should just get an apartment. So I always told my mom since I was a kid that I was going to leave once I turned 18. I didn't know that I could leave when I was 15. If I knew that I could leave when I was 15, ma'am, I would have been out of there. So I always told my mom I wanted to be adopted. I never wanted to live with my mom because I just never felt like she treated me nice. I never felt like she loved me, so I just wanted to leave. So when I turned 18, that was my opportunity. Plus, on my graduation day, she just basically, out of the blue, just started acting mean to me and saying that I better do this and that or I'm getting kicked out. And I just felt so unloved. And I to me, that was the last straw for me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to leave by any means necessary. I have to leave. And I ended up leaving. I just felt like the graduation day, that was the last straw for me. She just all of a sudden just started acting mean to me in the car, and I didn't do anything. I was just sitting there minding my business, didn't say anything to her. She just started saying all this stuff to me. And I guess, that sensitive, emotional teenager, I guess that's how I reacted to it. I was like, I'm going to show you.
Right, so you left home, and you ended up with that guy, right?
I ended up with him and stuff, endured his abuse and manipulation, and he kept me in the apartment, and I think one day I just got tired of the back and forth. I got tired of the abuse, and I think one day I retaliated by pursuing another relationship with someone else, and he caught me and beat me up. So I ran and I left to 7-Eleven. I called my aunt, told her what happened. She picked me up, and she said, Leslie, if you want to, I can beat him up. So
your aunt said that. That's cool.
So my aunt, she got the paddle and she got the stuff, and she took me and my sister. She picked up my sister. She went out of her way to pick up my sister so my sister can watch. And she lied to him and told him that she had a bad car or something. He came out. She just started beating him up. She told me to stay in the car, but of course I'm extra and I'm dramatic, so I left out the car and started running. And I said, yeah, and she's like, Leslie, get back in the car. She's like, Leslie, I told you to stay in the car. Now he gonna know it's you. She's like, I wanted to beat him up by myself. And I was like, why do that when I could be there?
You wanted to see it. You wanted to be part of it.
Girl, I wanted to be part of history. You hear me? So, yeah, that was the good old days.
What happened then?
And then I think after that, I stayed with my aunt. But what I realized is that my aunt was not mentally or emotionally capable of housing me. Her sons, for one, was not at that maturity level to understand what I was going through at that time. So I really got a lot of pushback from them. My aunt tried her best, but she was not capable at that time to house someone with my type of issue. I had a lot of issues. She had her own stuff going on, and she just couldn't do it. And that's okay. I don't fault anyone who can't do something. So I left. And when I left, I called the guy that beat me up because I knew that he would help me. And I needed his help for a couple weeks. And I said, it's nowhere I can go. I don't have any other family I trust. I'm going to have to go to a homeless shelter. And that's why I ended up in D.C. at the youth shelter on Mellon Street in Southeast. A youth shelter. Now.
That's rough, right? It's rough.
When I saw those young people homeless, and it's so funny because they was homeless for like the same stuff that I was homeless for. The parents, like the home environment, they didn't want to go back home. I said, is it that bad, like worldwide like that, where people don't want to go home, that they'd rather be homeless? Go home. So I had a rough time adapting to the environment with the young people. So I ran into this company called Fair Girls, and they supported women who were survivors of sex trafficking. And I didn't...
Right, okay, so hang on one second, because we kind of skipped over that part. Mm-hmm. The older guy trafficked you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so how did that work? How did that happen?
Honestly, ma'am, I'm saying ma'am because I'm really trying to think about it. Jayne, I really can't tell you. You know what I think? It was very confusing time, because you have to understand. I met him when I was 15. I left him when I was like 21, 20, right?
Yeah, you're with him a while.
I was with him a long time. That was the longest relationship I ever had with anybody. So what I'm saying is that I didn't know that I was being trafficked. I had no idea. Even when I went to the youth shelter and I explained to her everything I was going through, and for her to refer me to a human trafficking nonprofit for women who are survivors of sex trafficking, I said, okay. I stepped in. I said, looks nice, but I'm not a survivor, but I'll take the free food and the free clothes and the free jewelry. I'll take it. Hey, why not?
Right, so why didn't you know that you were a survivor?
Nobody
Because
told me.
Right, but right, so you were just like not thinking about what was being done to you and what was happening to you.
I didn't know it was trafficking.
Yeah,
I didn't know, Miss Jayne.
Right.
I'm thinking that I'm just doing something that's been done for ages, having a sugar daddy, having an older boyfriend. I'm not thinking that I was being trafficked, but when I told him everything that I was going through, that was labeled as trafficking. Or, she would not have referred me to that company. And then it's so funny because they will always play educational videos to educate us on what trafficking was. And I just tuned them out. Like how I had these headphones on, I tuned them out. Because I was like, I'm not a victim. These girls, I'm better than these girls. These girls are victims of sex trafficking. I'm nothing like them. That's just what I thought through the whole program. I just thought that, everybody went through something. I didn't go anything. I just had a regular sugar daddy. I didn't know, so.
How old was he? How much older was he than you?
Ma'am, I don't even want to discuss his age. I feel embarrassed to say it. But this is what I'm going to say.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my God. He was 72.
Holy moly. And he could still do stuff, too?
He didn't do much. That's why I was cheating on him. I wasn't getting satisfied. Listen, it was kind of like Anna Nicole. Really.
Yeah.
The only thing was he wasn't wheelchair bound. He was a very strong. When I tell you he was very strong, this man had muscles of steel. At 72. You know what I'm saying? When I tell people that he beat me up, they laugh because they can't imagine a 72-year-old, because the stereotypical 72-year-old man is crippled. This man was not crippled by a long shot at all.
But he wasn't taking Viagra, so he couldn't.
He was taking Viagra, but it wasn't working. And he'd be like, baby, I don't know what to tell you. And I was thinking to myself, I know what to do. I'm going to get mine. That's what I was thinking at that age. I was like, I'm going to get mine. So if you don't do it, I'm going to find somebody else that can do it. So I had me little side dudes that I would chill with.
All right. And he was married too, right?
Yes, he was.
And he lied to you about that?
Yeah, he told me that him and his wife, is actually, even though they're together for financial reasons. And that they sleep on two sides of the house. And he actually invited me in the house and showed me his room all the way on that one side of the house and showed me her room. So I was like, oh, so they're not together. So that's what he would tell me. But I later on found out from his sons, because his sons, on my 17th birthday, his son snitched on me. To my mother, my stepfather from Nigeria. They snitched on me. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good birthday. Let's just say that. They ruined my whole 17th birthday, and they said he lied to me. And at that age, I really believed him, honestly. And then even when a woman called his phone, I asked him about it. He said she was crazy. And that's what I believed. She was crazy, but I always resented him for it. And I think that was me getting revenge by cheating on him. Well, not cheating on him, but just, he called it cheating. I didn't see it as cheating. I said, because you don't belong to me, right? According to your sons. So I just feel like he lied to me, and it wasn't right,
Okay, so you found the Fair Girls, and you realized you kind of got a whole new sense of what happened to you, right?
Yeah, I had a whole new sense what happened to me. I realized that, it actually had a name, but I detached myself from that name. I did not associate myself with that name. And, I met Fair Girls. They was really nice. They was very supportive. And that's how I discovered my gift of making jewelry. So it was a very supportive environment. And
then you found the church too, right?
I found the church, and that's when my pastor, I told her my situation. Because I had a minister before her tell me that I shouldn't take my dad to court. I shouldn't tell anybody. And she even slapped me in my face, the minister.
Why? What? She slapped in your face? Why?
This was the minister I met before I came to my church. This was a minister I was under and she thought I had demons in me. And so her way of getting them out was to slap me.
Okay, she sounds nuts. right?
She was nuts. That's why I ended up leaving her company, and I left her company traumatized because she like finally cussed me out one day because I said no. See, I've been working for her for so many years, and I never had a life. I was just working for her, and I finally wanted to do something for me, and I said no, and she couldn't take it. So I finally came to this church, and the pastor empowered me to go take my dad to court and get justice. You know, she said, God is a God of justice. She said, you have to seek it in order to get it. I seeked it, and I got my justice that I deserved. And I wasn't trying to be mean when I took my dad to court. This was just something that I felt like had to happen because I didn't want it to happen to another family member.
Mm-hmm. And so what happened in court? What was the result?
But he got 28 years, which we was aiming for was 27. He got 28. So,
wow.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And I never thought I could because my father always made it seem like I had no chance. You know, I had no chance at it, and you know, I'm just a black girl. Ain't nobody gonna believe me. I'm nothing. Well, I am something. I'm something.
You are something. And then so you had this whole team that believed you, supported you, and you put your dad away.
I did. I put him away so somebody else can be protected. I didn't want him to ruin someone else's life.
Yeah, because it could have been a niece or a granddaughter or the girl next door or anybody.
Imagine if I had a child and I let him watch my child, what he would have been putting my child through. See what I'm saying? Because it's people that go through what I went through, and they still stay around these predators because they're family. Mm-hmm. Well, family is not only linked to blood. Family can be the next door neighbor. Unfortunately, family is not always supportive, and you don't have to be around toxic people just because they're your family.
That's right. You can choose, which is what you did.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel now when you look back on your childhood and what happened to you?
I feel grateful that I'm still alive. I don't have any regrets. I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I'm progressing in life. When I used to look back on my childhood, I used to feel hopeless and helpless. I was just like, man, you know, I really never had a chance. I used to feel really pity for myself. Now, I think I feel more of gratefulness because of how God saved me, and just finding this church really saved my life because they really helped me, not on a mental level, but spiritually. And I don't feel the same way I felt when I was 23, 22, 21. It's definitely a difference now. In such a short period of time it happened too. So I just really, you know, I'm grateful. Mm-hmm.
But how do you feel about what you've done? Because, yeah, you say the church saved you.
Oh, no, God saved me, not the church. God.
Okay, God saved you. But didn't you also save yourself?
Oh, let me tell you something. It's honestly, people don't understand. It's a lot to do with your choices. I chose to be saved. It's a choice. I chose to just seek justice. I chose to let God in my life and guide me with this situation. I chose to be saved. I chose to go to this church and listen to my pastor. It was a choice. You know what I'm saying? So let me not get it mistaken. I definitely made a lot of good choices. And that's why I received justice. Because of the choices I made and the help that I received and the support I received. If I didn't receive that support, you know.
Right. So what do you do now? Because you have a great career.
Okay.
Tell me about that.
So right now, I am a manager and lead H&R manager at Twist and Go Hair Salon. It's a natural hair salon in Lower Maryland. And
yo, baby.
Yes, boo, yes. So I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And so basically, Yolanda Van Zant, which is the lady who does that show, Yolanda Fix My Life. She used to she used to get her hair done at our salon back in the day. So our salon has been there for over 17 years. We was the leaders of the natural hair community. And let me tell you something, the natural hair community, there's plenty of room for everybody and stuff. And the natural hair community is on the come up. And, you know, it's empowering Black women to embrace their natural self, but also embrace hair care. Embrace hair care. You don't have to only wear your natural hair if you want to wear weaves, but embrace a steam treatment. Embrace the hair club. $150 a month, you get 4 visits. Embrace that.
Nice sales pitch. You just slid that right in there, didn't you?
Embrace a deep conditioning treatment and a trim. We're going to embrace that first.
That's what I need to embrace right now.
Embrace it.
I need a deep condition and a trim.
Oh my God.
Hey, so I asked this of all my guests, and I want you to try to dig deep here. What is the one thing that nobody would know about you unless you told them?
I think somebody, if they didn't know me firsthand, they probably wouldn't know that. Man, Jayne, you put me on the spot because there's so many things about me that people don't know.
I wish people could see the look on your face. It's so great. It's like, I don't know if I want to say it, but go ahead, say it.
I'm okay. So I'm very messy, right? So I'm not dirty. I'm messy.
You don't look messy. You mean like in your life, like in your house, your clothes all over?
Yeah, like in my room, right? So my room would be very messy. I would clean it up. And then I'll look for something very small. And then that moment of looking for something very small, it turns into a messy room all over again.
in an instant, it's like a hurricane, right?
Girl, this been going on for like 15 years. Ever since I've been a teenager. I really don't know what it is because, you know, my father, but, you know, my mom's very messy, so I don't know if I get it from her. But yeah, like, honestly, I just cleaned up my room. My room was so tidy. All of a sudden, I had to move something around, and then it gets messy again. And you know what I used to call it? I said, a grim reaper came in my room and flapped his little arms and did a tornado and it came in my room, and I said, this is a spirit, you know what I'm saying, 'cause I'm spiritual. I was like, this is an evil spirit that keep coming in my room, and I bind you and I cast you out in the name of Jesus, and it don't leave. It's just been like this for years. Ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Is there anything else you want to tell me?
Whew, Jesus. Okay, what else I'll tell you? I need to get my feet done.
A pedicure?
Yeah, I need to get a pedicure. I've been wanting to get more pedicures and stuff, and I really think I have pretty feet. It has potential. It just needs a little nail polish.
You need a little TLC on your feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right.
Okay, another thing, okay, one more thing I want to say. You would not know by looking at me, but okay, so people look at me. Let me ask you something. It looked like I have confidence, right?
Yeah, you seem super confident and super engaged and very smiling and warm.
Right. But I have my moments where, like, I'm unsure. Or I have those moments where the confidence is not really good. I have those moments. And I think it's very human because I've heard other women the same way. So, like, a lot of people look at me and they see confidence, they see power, they see this and that. But I do have those moments where I'm very timid. And it was this guy that I had a crush on. And I was so shy around him. But I'm not shy at all. Like, I'm not a shy person. I know how to speak. But when I get around certain people, I feel like I'm about to take a number 2. So what I'm saying is that I do have a timid side to me. I'm very timid. A lot of people don't notice that. The only person that knows that really is my pastor. And it's so funny because everybody calls me confident. I know she knows how timid I can be and shy.
See, that's interesting because when I met you in person, very confident, very self-assured, very well spoken. But I also saw I don't know what exactly to say what it was, but I saw a deep pain too. Mm-hmm. I think that's how you and I connected. Mm-hmm. We kind of saw it in each other, right?
Yeah. sometimes when you go through stuff, you can recognize that maybe in somebody and stuff.
Yeah.
It was really during that time that we was doing the Tiffany Simpson. So I had a lot of emotions because I just really couldn't believe that this girl was in jail since the age of 17. It really made me feel empathy for her and that her youth was stolen from her. And I connected with her because my youth was stolen from me. So what I'm saying is that was a very, painful time during that time, because me having to represent her on the video, that was very painful. It was very triggering. And it was a lot of things I had to deal with. And let me tell you, it was dealt with that I didn't know was in me. But yes, I felt a lot of pain during that time. That was a very painful campaign, very eye-opening campaign, and I will never be the same. I haven't been the same since that campaign. I have not been the same since that launch.
Right. I'm going to send people to that link because in the show notes for the podcast so that they can see that. I found it very, very powerful, and I think it's really important that you chose to participate in that, even though I'm sure it was really, really difficult.
It was painful because a lot of things that I suppressed it for so many years, it started to come up. And I was like, Leslie, you're going to have to let it come up. You're going to have to remember. You're going to have to connect with this. I didn't even have to try to connect. I connect. So what you saw, Jayne, is exactly right. You saw a pain. You saw pain, not only for Tiffany, but for that little girl. Like myself, I connected with Tiffany in that moment. And yes, I felt so much pain. It was pain. And I had to deal with that. But let me tell you something, Jayne. I'll never be the same since then. Ever since then, my passion has increased. My awareness has increased. I have become more humble since that situation. And I haven't been the same since.
Right. And now you're also an advocate, right?
I'm an advocate and I'm a public speaker too. So I just started my career in public speaking thanks to Montclair University. They just, Donna and Ali Boak, they have been encouraging me to do more public speaking. So I do public speaking in Montclair, and then I did a training session and stuff. So yeah.
Right. So what are your hopes for the future? You're going to travel the world giving motivational speeches? What are you going to do?
I want to travel, internationally travel. I want to do public speaking internationally. I love public speaking. I love training. I love connecting. Oh my gosh, like I could connect, that's why I connect with Tiffany. But it's also healing when you connect. And when you become vulnerable and stop trying to suppress everything, just let it out. Deal with the pain. Yeah, it hurts. It's very painful to hear that something like that happened to that girl. And yes, I did get triggered. But you know what? Those are the moments where you heal the most. It's when you let it go and let yourself connect and deal with that pain and let yourself heal from that. And you can receive deliverance too. And that's what I received in that moment. And that's what I want to receive worldwide. I want to connect with people. I want to connect.
You're a powerhouse. You are just a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I am. Okay. Yeah. I'm just being me. That's all. Yeah. I'm just being me.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Yeah. I thank you, Jayne. And, I thank you for this opportunity to be on the podcast. It was great talking to you, actually. This is the most comfortable I've been on the podcast, honestly. Don't want it to end, but it has to end. But all good things come to an end eventually.
They do. All good things come to an end.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leslie, for sharing your story with us. You certainly do have a very positive attitude, and it's infectious. It's great to see how happy you are in what you do, and how you've taken what was a difficult youth and are using it to help others. It's really admirable, so thank you. So for our next episode, Jayne speaks with Rob Rodriguez. He's a proud, gay, non-binary Latino, born and raised in New York City, currently residing in Los Angeles. They're a survivor of abuse and also a success story of what it takes to survive the foster care system. On top of that, they are a creative force behind the first LGBTQIA+ resource center in Burbank, California, as well as the first of its kind in the nationwide YMCA movement. And they're currently working on their first book, Can't Hit Rewind. So join us next week, and thank you for listening. If you or anyone you know is being trafficked, please let someone know. You can contact millionkids.org or the Global Center on Human Trafficking. That's millionkids.org or the Global Center on Human Trafficking at montclair.edu. If you see something, say something. If you suspect a child's health or safety is jeopardized in any way by parents or anyone else, contact the Child Protective Services Agency in your county. 24-hour hotlines are staffed by trained social workers who will help you through the process, and you can do so anonymously. In California, you can call the Child Protection Hotline at 800-540-4000. So if you see something, say something. You might be saving a child's life. If you want to know more about becoming a CASA anywhere in the country, go to nationalcasagal.org and in LA, casala.org. And if you want to know more about becoming a foster parent, check out the National Foster Parent Association at nfponline.org. There's also faithfosterfamilies.org and adoptuskids.org. There's tons of other information online as well, so you can just hunt around. We also want to thank the supremely talented Christina Apostolopoulos for her beautiful original music. You can find her music on Spotify or Instagram at Christina Aposta. And also thank you to Yukon Har for his engineering. Thanks for listening, and if you like what you hear and you find it as valuable as we do, please rate us and hit subscribe. You can also make a donation at bonusbabies.com. See you next time.